whole entire life. See, he married one of them. Then he got another one pregnant, hid the baby for 10 years, and then turned around and made her pay him $25,000 to keep it a secret. And then he got the other two best friends to commit credit card fraud. But see, it all started coming to the light once all four of them went to brunch one day. See, Nola, she had moved back to her hometown, Miami, because she was divorcing Mike. Now, Mike, that's the man who did all of that. And once Nola went to pay for their brunch, her card got declined. And she was like, girl, y'all know I'm divorcing Mike. He probably spent all our money again. And her friend Sage was like, girl, don't worry about it. I'll pay for it because we wanted to meet up with you anyways. Now, as soon as Sage got in the car, her phone rang and it was her husband, Marco. And he said, did you tell her yet? What did she say? And Sage said, no, I didn't tell her because it wasn't the perfect time. Now, even though Sage is one of the top paid lawyers in Miami, Florida, oh, she's a liar. And that's why Marco asked her that. Because see, Marco and Sage been married for 10 years, but Marco mama never trusts Sage. And to be honest, she had every right not to. Because see, Marco and Sage share a 10-year-old daughter together. But the older their daughter got, his mama noticed that this girl don't look like Marco and she don't look like nobody in our family. So she went behind their back and did a DNA test. And come to find out, Marco is not the daddy. And when they found that out, Sage confessed that back in college, she cheated on Marco with Nola baby daddy, AKA husband, the one she about to divorce, and he's the daddy. So really today at brunch, she was supposed to admit that, but she didn't. And to be honest, Michael and Sage is getting a divorce because of that. But nobody else knows about that. Now the next day, Nola was scared because Mike kept calling her phone threatening to show up in Miami and take their kids. So Nola called the only person that she knew could help her at the time, Capri. Now Capri, she like the scammer of the group. Everybody knows she got connections all up and down Miami. So Nola called her and was like, girl, listen, I need you right now. Like, I need to know that my kid's gonna be protected and I need to know that I'm gonna be safe. So Nola said, girl, say less, don't worry about it, I got you. Now, as soon as Capri got off the phone with Nola, she immediately hung up and called their other friend, Dakota. And she was like, girl, Nola want to meet up. Do you think she know? And Dakota was like, girl, I don't know, but we damn sure need to find out. So then they came up with a plan. So after that, she hung up the phone and called Nola back. And she was like, girl, I'm gonna come pick you up. Then we finna go to Dakota's shop. Now, Dakota got one of the most successful shops in Miami. So she was like, I'm gonna take you there so you can get your hair done and you could just unwind and feel human again. But really, they was going there because they wanted to pick Nola's brain to see exactly what she knew. Now, Capri went and picked up Nola just like she said she would. And they went to Capri's shop. They was laughing, they was talking, they had a good time, but Nola wasn't giving up no information. So Dakota said, y'all, we need to keep the vibe going. Let's go have some drinks. So they hit Sage up and they all went to the bar to have some drinks. Now, once they got to the bar to have some drinks, Sage, she was drinking back to back, shot to shot, shot to shot. And they was like, girl, what's wrong with you? Like, what you got going on? Why you drinking all like that? And she was like, y'all, I ain't gonna lie. Me and Marco, we getting a divorce. They was like, what? So she was like, yes, he can't handle that I make more money than him. And they was like, girl, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. Now, later on that night, Nola ended up driving Sage home because she was too intoxicated. Now, when she was taking Sage home, they stopped to pick up her daughter. And when they picked up her daughter, Sage was passed out in the back seat. So Sage's daughter asked Nola, she said, are you a liar and do you ruin everybody's life just like my mama? Nola was like, your mama don't ruin everybody's life. What you talking about? She said, my mama, she's a liar and she ruined everybody's life and she left me daddyless. Yes. Now the next morning when Sage was dropping Nola off, Nola asked her straight up. She said, hey, last night your daughter told me that you a liar, you ruined everybody's life and you left her daddyless. And before Sage could even answer, her phone rang. It was Marco. And she answered the phone and Marco said, hey, listen, we need to meet up. I really need to talk to you. It's very important. And Sage said, okay. Now, when Sage hung up that phone, she broke down crying right in front of Nola. And she said, girl, that was Marco. He wanted to meet up. She said, I hope he just came to his senses because to be honest, if I could save my marriage, I would. Because I never saw myself living without Marco. I just want my family back. And then Nola just grabbed her hand and she said, girl, it's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. I'm praying for you. Now Sage was so happy. She was so excited. She went straight home, put on her best clothes, put on her best perfume, and speeded her way straight down to that restaurant to meet up with Marco. But y'all, when Sage walked in that restaurant and she was walking to that table and she saw Mike sitting at that table instead of Marco, she didn't know whether to run, whether to hide, whether to scream, or whether to cry. But tears was running down her eyes and she just kept walking towards that table. Now Sage was so hurt, she didn't even sit down at the table. She walked to the table, looked down at Mike and said, Mike, what do you want? Mike said, you know what I want, where's my daughter? Sage said, oh baby, I think you sadly mistaken. Mike said, no, I ain't mistaken, but here's what you're gonna do next. You're gonna give me $20,000 or else I'm gonna tell Nola about everything that's going on. Now Sage ain't even argue with him. She said, okay, cool, but first I need proof that you her daddy. She immediately left the restaurant and called one of her friends in forensics to do a DNA test. Now Sage's friend agreed to do the DNA test. And a couple of days later, she called Sage back and she said, baby, I got bad news on top of bad news. Sage said, well, what's the bad news? She said, the first bad news is Mike is your baby daddy. She said, the second bad news is he wanted for credit card fraud. Sage said, what? What you mean? She said, yeah. See, in order for me to do the DNA test real quick, I had to put him in the system and he got flagged for credit card fraud. And not only that, they're looking for another woman of interest that was doing the credit card fraud with him. So Sage immediately thought, Nola. Nola is also wanted for credit card fraud. So Sage started doing her own research because she couldn't wrap her head around everything that was going on. And the more research she did, she realized that Mike is wanted for credit card fraud. And there is a woman of interest that they're looking for that's wanted for credit card fraud as well. But as she was doing her research, that's when Nola started blowing up her phone. And she wasn't answering at first because she thought that maybe Mike had told Nola everything that was going on. But eventually she answered. And that's when Nola was panicking. Help me, I need your help. Mike been arrested. I need you to be his lawyer and help get him out of jail. And Sage said, I can't be Mike's lawyer because I don't practice law in Atlanta. I can practice law in Miami. See, Mike had told Nola that basically he was coming to Miami to see her and the kids and he got arrested. But really, he was on his way back to Atlanta because he had already been in Miami. So Sage told her straight up. She said, girl, I can't be his lawyer, but I can find a lawyer to represent him. Now, unfortunately, Mike can't get a bond because there's too much evidence against him. And that's when Mike started using Capri to send messages to Sage because he didn't want Nola to know what was going on. So Capri started calling Sage and saying, hey, Mike told me to tell you to bond him out or else. So Sage is like, why is Mike even calling you? And Capri was like, I don't know. He told me that he got my number from one of his friends because I used to date his friends. So Sage says, what do Mike mean about or else? And Capri said, I don't know. He just told me to tell you that. But see, Capri knew exactly why Mike said that because Mike had told her everything, but she didn't tell Sage that. She was just playing dumb. Now, a few days later, they all decided to go out for some drinks because at this point, Nola is spazzing out because Mike is still locked up. And Sage is definitely eager to go out for drinks because she's trying to find out what everything that Capri knows. So Capri decided to go pick Nola up and they was gonna meet Sage and Dakota at the bar to have some drinks. Now when Capri and Nola was on their way to the bar, Capri tell Nola, hey, if I was you, I wouldn't trust Sage. And of course Nola say, why? And Capri say, I don't know, she just been acting weird, but if I was you, I wouldn't trust her. So Nola took it with a grain of salt and they went on about their day. Now they all go out for some drinks and they having a good time. But see, what they don't know is Mike is out of jail. And Mike was able to get out of jail because he basically snitched on his co-defendants. So as they at the bar having a good time, having drinks, everybody loving life, two undercover detectives walk up and they arrest Capri. They put her under arrest for credit card fraud. Yes, Capri's arrested. Now, at first, nobody really thought nothing of it. They just thought, oh well, that's Capri being Capri. She's always up to some kind of scam. So Sage tells her, girl, don't worry about it. I'm gonna bond you out. I got you. I'll be at your court date in the morning. Now here's where things get real crazy at. Because the next morning, Sage show up to Capri court date to represent her to get her out of jail. But as she's going through the file, she's noticed that Capri is not getting out because Capri has a co-defendant that has snitched on her, and it's Mike. Oh yeah, Mike and Capri was doing this credit card fraud together. And don't worry, I see y'all in the comments. What happened? What's going on? Episode 2 is dropping Saturday at 6 p.m. I'll see y'all there. Oh, we